To enjoy.
Infinity Sports Network national talk show host Zach Gelb joins us on 365 Sports. What is that background? Is that the sky? Oh, that's okay. The Statue of Liberty. I see that in the background. Is that a painting or what?
No, it's a background here. I'm in the Boomer Esiason and Greg Giannotti studio at WFAN and on CBS Sports Network, which is right down the hall from us. So this is just a room that I'm able to go into. So it's just it's like a hard poster, and then they had their Christmas lights up as well.
Oh, that's nice to be in the holiday spirit. Thank you very much. Zach, the college football playoff opening up on Friday, Notre Dame, Indiana. Which of the four games is the one you're more interested in, even though all four obviously have huge bearings on the next round?
Yeah, I think I'm most conflicted is the way I would say it on Clemson, Texas, actually. Just because of Dabo Swinney, who I'm not a huge fan of, but I'm actually buying into him leading into this game. But the game I'm most fascinated by is Ohio State and Tennessee, with how Ohio State lost that game to Michigan. Tennessee's very similar to Michigan this year, except they just have a much better quarterback, even with Nico Iamaleava being extremely erratic at times. But with the way that Sampson runs the ball in that defense, that's a formula to really cause fits for Ryan Day and company. And I'm just wonder where Ohio State is going to be at mentally after losing to Michigan 3 weeks ago. So that's a game between Ohio State and Tennessee that I do believe will end up being the best game of the four out there.
Do you think that SMU can roll into Happy Valley and win that game?
I think they can. Am I going to pick them to do so? No, I will not. I talked to Kobe Wilson yesterday, the linebacker who actually he played his college career. He started off at Temple, and then the last 2 years he's been at SMU. But his confidence was awesome, and it gave me the feel that the moment was not going to be too big for them. I just think that it's weird because it's a college football playoff game, right? You say it's a big game, but it's not a big game where we view it as, okay, if James Franklin does this, the monkey's off his back, and now he's a big game winner. So there is a little skepticism there, but the fact that this is a medium-sized game, even though it is a college football playoff game in terms of the James Franklin scale, these are the types of games that James Franklin usually wins.
Zach, as a national radio guy, have you noticed any increase in interest from your audience based on the college football playoff and just some of the storylines going on? Or have you found less interest in college football? Just curious, being a guy up in the Northeast where it's not like it is necessarily down here on a day-to-day basis. Have you noticed any difference at all?
I think this has been the most intriguing college football season from a national level that we've seen in quite some time. Whether it's the Heisman Trophy, it being between a two-way star in Travis Hunter and then a great running back in Ashton Genty. Usually it's just quarterback. But my great fear of a 12-team playoff was it was going to be watered down, and the teams at the end we were going to be rewarding losing. Well, so many teams fell down this year and stubbed their toe that they had to stand back up, and it's been so fascinating and how this is going to shake out, and the matchups are pretty good for the most part in the 12-team playoff, and you also take it into account as well. You know, outside, like I think Oregon's going to win it all. But, you know, you look around the rest of the country, there's just a lot of good teams. And Oregon, even though they don't have great individual stars, they've been the best team this year. So this 12-team playoff, it has worked this year. Everyone's excited for the matchups. And I do think because you also factor in the NFL, not having this clean product right now and this great product, people are always craving football, and college football has stepped up and hit a grand slam this year.
Yeah, the one concern is the fact that they may be playing while NFL games are playing and how much that might affect the ratings, which, of course, is about the revenue, although the revenue is committed to the playoff. Your thoughts on that?
You know what? I know it's funny because everyone's like, oh, we have this game going up against this game. I know it could impact ratings. Selfishly,
yeah, I know. Yeah.
In my apartment, I have multiple TVs. So, yeah. I'm not in the line of just because I got college on, I can't have NFL on. It doesn't impact me in terms of that.
Zach Gelb with us, Infinity Sports Network, with us on Wednesdays on 365 Sports.
How much Pepto-Bismol will Ryan Day have to take in preparation for this Tennessee game, seeing as how his fan base does not – they barely like him. They don't love him, that's for sure, especially not after 3 straight losses to Michigan.
How about the messaging from Ross Bjork and Ryan Day? All we heard all throughout the year, the game is what matters. Ryan Day said, and I know his father situation and how horrible that was, but outside of what happened with his dad, it was the lowest moment of his life in losing the last 3 years to Michigan. And now you made that a 4th one. So you say that leading up to the game, then you lose the game, and now you're trying to devalue the game. And it's asinine to me where people say, oh, just because Ohio State lost to Michigan, their season's a failure. They failed that moment. It's embarrassing. But if they go on and win the national championship, what are you going to say? The season wasn't a success? So I know they have to move on from that, but to send the messaging that even from the AD that now we have to start devaluing the game and make it championship or bust, you can't say one thing for 364 days out of the year, and then when it doesn't go your way for one day, then your message all of a sudden changed just to justify your coach just being mentally soft up against Michigan, where Harbaugh's not even there, Stallions is not even there, but that third base comment still haunts Ryan Day, and he tried to win that game the way Michigan usually wins a game, which is big offensive line, run the ball, and he didn't use the star power that they have at the wide receiver position nearly enough in that one. It was an arrogance from Ryan Day. And Tennessee, like I said earlier, they play like Michigan, and they have a better quarterback, even though he's been erratic. So if Tennessee's consistent with the run with Sampson, which we know he's a heck of a running back, and their defense is phenomenal, they have more than a chance, obviously, to go into the horseshoe and pull off the upset.
Marcus Freeman's on a very cool seat. He's got an extension. Everything is good there and secure. Just has to avoid the blip in the non-con every once in a while, right? But how unique is this Indiana matchup, not only because of the Hoosier story, but then the regionality that we get a part of this? I was hoping we were kind of going to get this with SMU and Texas, but the seeding went the way that it did. But I find the regional appeal here to be something kind of interesting on top of this game.
Absolutely. And Cignetti, right, is a great salesman. So he's going to play into that, and his team's going to be ready to go, even though they did not play well in their biggest game of the season up against Ohio State. It's weird with Notre Dame because I've always said this about Notre Dame. Very good team, not a great team in my lifetime. I never view them as a team that's going to go win a championship. I'm not saying they're going to win a championship this year. I think it's going to be Oregon, but I'm more optimistic and bullish on Notre Dame this year than I've been in years past. And I'm surprised that I am that way, especially with the performance back in week 2 up against Northern Illinois. I know they don't have this great victory up against this great team since then, but Xavier Watts is a stud. He, one of the best defensive players, if not the best defensive player in the country. Jeremiah Love could be an early pick for the Heisman next year, and they have a great 1-2 punch at the running back position. And then Riley Leonard, who I never thought was great, let me be clear, but he's got better as the season has gone on. So I like what I'm seeing out of this Notre Dame team, and I do expect them to beat Indiana.
How do you see Clemson and Texas going?
In the beginning of the week, I was Texas. And I sit here on a Wednesday, and I'm vacillating.
Don't do it.
I'm not saying I'm picking Clemson. Let me be clear. But isn't it weird with Texas? Right? They have such a good record in their 2 biggest games of the season. They've lost to Georgia both times. And we see the record of Texas, and isn't there still that thought, maybe there's going to be a big Arch Manning package. Maybe we're going to see Arch Manning usurp Quinn Ewers. And I know in the first time they played Georgia, he got thrown in there for 2 drives, and that was it. Quinn Ewers has been a very good college football quarterback, but he hasn't really taken over this season outside of earlier in the season for a long period of stretch where I'm like, that's the guy that's going to win Texas a national championship. I think a lot of people are going to be surprised that in the 4th quarter, this is going to be a game. I saw the spread was, I think, 12. I would plus the points right now as I sit here. I'm going to say that Texas just finds a way in the slightest margin of victory to get the job done. But I just don't feel confident about Texas this week.
They try to get on you pretty quickly, but if that game's lingering into the late 3rd, 4th quarter, man, you wonder if they may not start playing a little uptight.
And you know what? Maybe it's a little because of what I just recently saw from Texas up against Georgia. And that's their kryptonite this year, like how Michigan has been the kryptonite from Ohio State. So maybe it's just too much over-analysis of what we've seen recently. But I'm surprised this week because layup, I love Sark, right? Pick Texas, see Dabo fail. Wonderful. I'm happy. I just have not been able to get there this week that I'm very confident in Texas.
You know what? He threw you for a loop when he went and got a transfer.
Yeah, I did see that on social media, and I go, what world are we living in? That is crazy.
Hey, I think it's just the like he had a window to show that it would work. And then even he's going to run out of players. And his coaches are probably like, please, just a couple, man. Just let me get a couple.
Well, and you look at the quarterback matchup. Like, Cade Klubnik and Quinn Ewers, I'm not confident in either. So that's where I'm really struggling on this one. And, Texas has the better team, so that's why I slightly lean by them. But I just feel like this is coming down to a field goal or a late touchdown drive.
That'll be interesting. Zach, we appreciate it. NFL, there's 3 games left, man. It's this stretch drive for them, too, about the time the college football playoff begins. Kansas City with Mahomes and the high ankle sprain, although you'll have to kill him for him not to play. Josh Allen, have you ever seen a quarterback on such a heater as he is right now?
I picked him to win the MVP in the offseason because I thought everyone was writing off Buffalo, and I still thought they were going to win the division and they were going to overachieve this year, and it was going to be set up for everything to go through Josh Allen. But what he's done the last 2 weeks, he slowed down last week, only had 4 total touchdowns from the 6 prior the week before. But my, oh my, he's really been something. But I think the best team in the league right now, and I would not have said this last week because I didn't like the locker room issues, but the locker room issues and how they played out publicly and then they responded with the win and the way that defense is playing, I think the Eagles are the best team in the NFL. Like, the Lions are banged up. Kansas City, I know they only have 1 loss in the season, but their offense hasn't looked right all year. Can Mahomes get it done in the postseason? Absolutely. Buffalo's really damn good, but their defense the last 2 weeks has not. I look at Philadelphia. Their offense is more than talented with Barkley, with Hurts, with A.J. Brown, with Devontae Smith, the offensive line, and on defense, man, Vic Fangio really has those boys rolling right now.
Paul, you want to ask him a baseball question before we let him go?
All right. Does Cody Bellinger make up for the loss of Juan Soto at all?
No, but did you see the marriage situation with Bellinger?
Oh, yeah, that's weird. If you had give me the roster, the 25-man, and said, what 2 guys do you not want your ex to have dated?
Don't go there.
It would have been Judge and Stanton. And
So for people that don't know, Giancarlo Stanton's ex-girlfriend, who's drop-dead gorgeous, surprise, surprise, is married to Cody Bellinger. And I actually was at a Yankee game many years ago, and I was there with my buddy, and there's this unbelievably good-looking girl sitting in front of us with like a bunch of people around her. We're like, who the heck is this girl? And she was the seat in front of us. And then like the next day, we saw in the Post in New York, the big paper, that they either broke up or it was just that they were started to begin dating. And we were all like, oh, that's why that beautiful woman was there. It was because not only is she a big Yankee fan, but she's a big fan of Giancarlo Stanton, and now she's married to Cody Bellinger. So that'll be an interesting conversation in the dugout, I would say.
Do you think that came up at all when the Yankees were discussing that trade?
Probably not. People have exes, and right.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was a messy breakup or not. I don't think it's that big of a deal. It's interesting for what we do.
All right, Diego Pavia, did you hear about the ruling that came down?
No, I didn't yet.
Well, you were probably transitioning from what you do to what we're doing with you. He wanted an appeal for not counting his year in junior college, and he won. He now gets an extra year to play at Vanderbilt because the junior college year, according to the ruling, should not count against his eligibility. Now,
will he stay at Vanderbilt is the question.
He says
that's an NIL machine.
Yeah, no, I know. He's a multi-millionaire guy. I don't know, and you never know. That could change quickly, but he does get an extra year. Do you realize how many players at the FBS or FCS, whatever levels, have been to junior college? There's hundreds of them.
Yeah, and even we're starting to move past the COVID years, but some of those guys still had an extra year of eligibility from COVID. So the whole thing is like, I talked to Dylan Gabriel at the Heisman, right? And I said to him, I go, people still doubt you. They just think you're a college quarterback. Tell me why a team should pick you number one, take you in the NFL draft. I didn't say number one overall. And he gave me a good pitch. And then, Fox, NFL, college football on Fox, they picked that up. And all the comments were like, yeah, this guy should be NFL ready. He's been in college football for like a decade already now. So it's kind of crazy, but the transfer portal stuff it's been fun. And I know that the Prabula situation at Penn State has brought heightened awareness to the timing of it. I don't really know what they could do just because it is a professional sport, but it still operates under the standard of college and academics. And it's easy for me to say, oh, just move it back and don't have the transfer portal open up until after the national championship game. Well, the spring semester already started like a week or two before that. So I don't think there's a great resolution here.
I think I just found out that Alan Bowman and the tight end McCormick at Miami played 2 years of JUCO ball. No, I'm just kidding. Alan Bowman finally said, I'm done. He's done.
Well, what's going to happen with Cam Rising? That's my question.
Yeah, there we go.
He's like Perry Ellis.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Zach Gelb, Infinity Sports Network. Great to have you, as always. Happy holidays to you. Zach Gelb with us.